When it comes to JRPGs, one of the things you see quite often, no matter the franchise or any specific game, is that the final villain or boss often tends to be some sort of god or godlike entity. You see this all the time, really. Even if you're not fighting some sort of eldritch monstrosity, then you're fighting some sort of monstrous weapon that can destroy humanity if you don't beat it in time. Even Digimon games are no strangers to this concept. In Digimon World 3, you end up fighting Galacticmon as the final boss of the main story, who wanted to fuse with the Earth itself, which would have destroyed every living being on Earth, one can assume. Digimon World 2 had us facing off against Gaia, a sort of super AI that intended to become the ultimate being of thought, essentially a god. And if you haven't played Digimon World 1 before, you would assume that it must have gone in a similar direction. I mean, that would make sense. But what if I told you that the final boss of this game isn't a god or a demon? What if I told you that the main antagonist here is simply a man? A truly evil human being. But who is he, and what is his story? Well, that's what we are here to find out. So let's talk about what happens in Digimon World 1. As you start up a new game, you are brought to File Island by Digimon. Your very presence is actually a pretty big deal here. Human beings have had a troubled history with the digital world, you see. Digimon tells you that many Digimon used to live in File City, but they began to lose heart. Essentially, they became violent and started losing their ability to speak and forgetting who they even were, as if something had infected their minds. And eventually, they all left. So our goal is to go around the island, find the Digimon who used to live here and bring them back. That's pretty much all the information we're given, before the game just tells us to go out there and figure things out. The game doesn't really try to push you towards any specific locations. Sure, there are some areas that are not accessible right away. They are locked until you recruit certain Digimon and accomplish certain objectives. But beyond that, you can go about as you please. The problem is, for the most part, the game doesn't give you a whole lot of information besides what you got from Digimon earlier regarding the overall narrative. Most of the Digimon you can recruit have their own minor problems that they're dealing with. You might come across a Digimon who needs medical help and will join the city after you help it out, although most of them just require a thorough beating to help them regain their senses, after which they'll go back to the city. Throughout this process though, it's likely that you won't learn anything new about why all these Digimon ended up losing heart in the first place. What exactly made them leave the city? What is even going on around here? And who is our true enemy? The thing is, Digimon World 1 will never outright tell you the answers to these questions. I'm not kidding when I say that you could literally beat the game and not know a whole lot more about this world than what you knew when you started the game. But as cryptic as things might appear to be, there are some clues that can help you attain a better understanding of what's going on. There aren't a lot of them, but they do help us piece together a story that we would otherwise never know about. After making enough progress with the city recruitment, we'll unlock Toy Town. We are never required to be here for any reason, and we can't go through it with just any Digimon either. The easiest way to go through Toy Town is to bring a Numemon here. You know about Numemon, right? It's one of the greatest Digimon to ever exist. Some even say that it's the strongest Digimon of them all. If you bring a Numemon to the Monzaimon suit lying around in here, it will crawl into the suit and become one with it through Digivolution or something. After that, we have to go inside the Toy Mansion. What follows is a relatively short but annoying quest. We have to go through the rooms here, which are filled with some really nasty wild enemies. It's nearly impossible to avoid most of them, so there will be plenty of fighting involved. But if you brought enough supplies with you to keep your partner healed up, then taking out all the wild enemies around here should be quite doable. Eventually, you'll find yourself in the final room, where a Varumonzaimon is waiting for you. Depending on how well you've trained your partner, this could prove to be a somewhat difficult fight, if you aren't ready for it. Varumonzaimon has a bunch of nasty attacks that can be painful to take. But like most fights in this game, preparation is key. A steady supply of healing items can keep you alive long enough to win. After winning, Varumonzaimon promises that he won't be a bad Digimon anymore. If we go back to the robot house near the entrance to the Toy Mansion, Hagurumon will become a part of a machine here, and this will happen. Let's take a closer look at what just happened. The toys are telling us a story, but not just any story. It's a story about what happened here a long time ago. A bad guy came from far away to this island. I think this is a typo, because in the very next line, the toys said that the bad guys told the Digimon, "This island is ours." So the bad guys are not Digimon. I think it's pretty obvious that the toys are talking about humans who somehow got to this island a long time ago. It's not clear how they did it. We came here because Digimon pulled us into this world. Perhaps there's a way to come here directly from the real world. Or maybe they were brought here by a Digimon as well. Let's continue with the story for now. Digimon told them that's not true. This island is for everybody. Because Digimons unified and challenged the bad guys were taught a lesson. So essentially, the humans were defeated after a battle of sorts. It's also unclear how the humans fought the Digimon. Did they use weapons or did they use Digimon of their own? Anyway, here's the most important part. But the bad guys said, "Wait, we'll get you later," and they disappeared. The humans were beaten, but they weren't put down permanently. At least not all of them, evidently. Now, did they disappear by going back to the real world, or did they decide to hide somewhere around here? A place not easily accessible for the Digimon they were fighting against. Perhaps a location whose entrance isn't even visible normally. Makes you wonder, doesn't it? Those are all the clues we can find in Toy Town, but there are still a few more out there. Next, we have to make our way to Factorial Town. In the sewers here, there's a sickly red mist and a very ill Numemon. Apparently, waste from the factory is causing this to happen. Andromon won't allow us to go deeper inside the factory to investigate, as he doesn't believe that there could possibly even be a problem. According to him, the Netkeeper, who is an ultimate level Digimon called Gyromon, would shut down the system if something went wrong. But what if the Netkeeper was compromised? We won't get any help from Andromon right now, and if we try to sneak in on our own, we'll be stopped by a couple of Guardromon. In order to get past them, we have to come back at a time when they will switch shifts with the next batch of Guardromon. Once we get deeper into the factory, we'll eventually find a Gyromon who's going haywire and destroying everything. This is the same Gyromon that is supposed to be the Netkeeper. He says that he needs to destroy the bad computer, that he'll destroy all bad things. It's quite obvious that there is something wrong with this Digimon. The only way to calm him down is to beat the life out of him. Afterwards, Gyromon will power down and stay there. If we talk to Andromon now, he'll stop the machines in here, which will cause the toxic wastewater to stop running as well. After recruiting the Numemon in the sewer, if we go back and talk to Andromon again, we'll get to see some important dialogue. The player character mentions that it is possible someone was controlling Gyromon, and that computers were destroyed, and wastewater started to leak. That water made Digimon insane. Surely that can't be a coincidence. Andromon responds by saying that the computers here have some key importance, that he thinks someone was trying to get them. Andromon believes that there was data regarding the island's past on these computers, but due to the Netkeeper's riot, the data was destroyed. He'll try to restore some of the data, but it will take some time. Now, let's talk about the information we've received so far. The problem with the wastewater is quite interesting in itself. Andromon had no idea it was even a problem. So the question is, how long has that been going on? Has it only caused problems for the Numemon we met in the sewers? Or has it done more harm than that? Could it be possible that this toxic wastewater was involved in causing the Digimon in File City to lose their minds? Is the wastewater how the infection was carried to them? It's not a complete impossibility when you think about it. Let's talk about the Netkeeper. He was destroying the computers which, according to Andromon, contained data about the island's past. And it's pretty apparent that Gyromon has been under mind control for some time. But who would want to do this? Who would want to erase the island's past? Or perhaps a better question should be, who would stand to benefit from that? If we come back to Factorial Town after some time has passed, we'll find that Androman has successfully recovered part of the data. It says the following. 100 years ago, analog humans appeared on Digimon Island. Analog humans and native Digimon fought very hard. After 10 years of battle, the analog humans were defeated and disappeared. In the next 10 years, mysteriously, the island's area almost doubled in size. And that is all the data that could be recovered. Well then, we kinda heard a similar tale not too long ago, just in different words. But here, we get more concrete facts. The war between the humans and Digimon happened 100 years ago, and lasted for 10 years, after which the humans were defeated. But how were they defeated? Was there some specific strategy that was used by the Digimon back then? It wouldn't be too crazy to assume that there was probably more information about this in the data that could not be recovered, right? And the bit about the island's area doubling in size after the war is weird. I've honestly dug through every guide and reference book I could find for Digimon World 1, and I haven't seen anything more about this particular event. Well, let's go back to the initial question that we had. Who would benefit from having this data erased? I think it would be fair to assume that a human would be behind this. A human trying to go to war with Digimon wouldn't want anyone looking into what happened when humans tried to do that in the past. Even in our own history, there have been many evil individuals who've tried to alter or outright destroy historical data for nefarious reasons. So it is not unthinkable that something similar may have been attempted here. Now, let me ask you this. Could it be that this is actually one of the surviving humans who was involved in the war that happened 100 years ago? This might seem crazy to you, but think about this. We already know that time passes differently for humans here. Androman even goes on to ask, can humans live 100 years? To which the player replies, it seems that for humans, time is slow in this world. I guess that's why I don't have to eat or sleep here. Keeping in mind how cryptic Digimon World 1 usually is, this kinda feels like it's trying to be as clear as it possibly can be about this. As far as I can tell, this is how the pieces of this puzzle connect. We are dealing with a human who survived the war that happened 100 years ago, and then went into hiding. Then, somehow, the area of the island doubled in size in the next 10 years. It seems very likely that the surviving human was involved in this process in some way. After hiding and waiting and planning for a very long time, they are trying to take over the island and even the whole world again. But this time, they are going about it in a very covert way. They aren't fighting directly, cause they know they'll probably lose if they do that, like how the humans lost the last time. And in order to cover their tracks, they've tried to destroy all records of the war, trying to make sure that no one can figure out what's going on. They are pulling the strings from behind the scenes, dismantling the very fabric of society here. They didn't have to brainwash everyone. Perhaps that's something they couldn't even do right now. But controlling some very important Digimon, like the Netkeeper, allowed them to do a whole lot of damage. I believe Digimon knows that a human is behind all of this. He's a pretty old Digimon after all. He probably does know a thing or two about the war. Who knows, maybe he was there when it happened. Seeing his fellow Digimon going wild and losing their memories, at some point he realized that the only one who could potentially stand up to such a wild, devious human is another human being. Someone who would be willing to save this world. During the conversation with Androman, the player character says, 100 years is a very long time. Those guys must be very tough. I'll find them and do something. Now I know why I'm here. Since I am human, I need to deal with them. Now that we have a reasonable understanding of what's going on, how do we find them, you may be wondering? Well, every Digimon we bring back to the city is worth a certain amount of prosperity points. The higher the level of the Digimon, the more points we get for bringing them back. After getting 50 prosperity points for the city, Digimon will inform us that the path to Mount Infinity has appeared. And as far as he knows, that is where the last enemy is hiding. It's not clear why the path appears after getting enough Digimon back to the city, but I suppose it was designed this way for gameplay reasons. As soon as we try to leave the house, we will be ambushed by an Airdramon, who has also been brainwashed, apparently. After giving it a thorough beating, we can make our way to the location that has been hidden from us until now. Mount Infinity. In here, we will first have to go through 3 Digimon first. Again, it's apparent that they're being controlled by someone. First, we have to defeat Devimon, then Megadramon, and finally Metal Greymon. After beating all 3 of them, we will be able to finally meet the true enemy. His name is Analogman, and his goal is pretty simple. He wants to rule the net world, and he was getting pretty close to it before we started meddling in his plans. He believes that Digimon should obey humans like slaves. Obviously, we can't let him win. He's not gonna get into a fist fight with us though. He's been experimenting on Digimon for some time, it seems. And by using parts from other machine-type mons, he created the first mega-level Digimon, Machine Dramon. The battle that follows is a pretty tough one. Machine Dramon has some hard-hitting attacks, and they do a lot of damage. But if you've gotten this far, then you probably have a strong Digimon by your side as well. So as long as you hit back hard with some heavy attacks of your own and use plenty of healing items, then you should be fine. After the battle, Analogman says that he shouldn't have trusted Digimon, that he has to do it himself. And it looks like he did have a plan B in place, as he tries to blow up the entire island and escape to a different world. He then appears on a screen and mocks the player. But somehow, the Digimon from the city are able to interfere in time and stop Analogman from doing what he was trying to do. It's not clear how this is happening, but Analogman's program glitches out, and he suddenly disappears as we make our escape. After that, everything appears to be fine, and with their job done, the player leaves the digital world behind and returns to the real world. That seems to be the end of it. Analogman is gone and File Island has been saved, but we'll soon realize that it's not over yet. After the credits, we'll get to see a cutscene in which the player character is hanging out with his friends. Suddenly, a Mamemon pops out of his Digivice and starts spouting some nonsensical gibberish.
What are you saying? Analogman is back again?
Yes, it seems that Analogman has returned. After that, the player returns to the digital world, while probably traumatizing his friends, as they see their friend vanish before their very eyes. But Analogman is not hiding in Mount Infinity. In fact, things are about to get weird. What we need to do is find the back dimension. It can appear in one of 3 locations: the Ice Sanctuary, the Mansion, or the Ogre Fortress. When we try to enter one of these locations, if it has been taken over by the back dimension, we'll be taken there automatically. The interior looks the same as the one found inside Mount Infinity. Even the soundtrack is the same. And there are only a few floors for us to go through, at the end of which we'll find ourselves in the actual location that the back dimension took over. Here, we'll find Analogman again. He doesn't say anything and immediately disappears. But his Machine Dramon is still there and has to be fought again. While the overall fight is pretty much the same as it was before, this Machine Dramon is stronger than the one from Mount Infinity. After winning, the Machine Dramon will disappear, and in its place, we'll find a different Digimon. The player character will say, "Is it the curse of Analogman?" Yes it is. You see, while Analogman's physical body may be gone, his consciousness is still around. Every 20 days, it will infect another Digimon and turn it into a Machine Dramon, which means every 20 days, one of the 3 locations will be taken over by the back dimension again. So in the end, in Digimon World 1, the curse of Analogman will return to File Island again and again, forever. That is his legacy. There is no way to stop the curse permanently. He'll always come back. But his story isn't over just yet. We won't find any mention of Analogman in Digimon World 2 or 3 though. World 3 especially is completely disconnected from World 1. And while File Island does play a substantial role in Digimon World 2, Analogman is nowhere to be found. In fact, besides File City, the rest of File Island has changed drastically. There is one other game on the PlayStation 1, however, where we might find some more information. we'll have to play Digimon Digital Card Battle. It's a pretty laid-back game for the most part. The mechanics of the card game are simple, but there's enough going on here to keep you invested. You can also find the Digidestined from the first 2 Digimon anime seasons, so that's cool. Your objective is to challenge the battle arena in every location, as you try to become the greatest card fighter who ever lived. Things seem pretty uneventful at first, but every now and then, as you continue your journey through the game, you will run into Rosemon. For the most part, she will keep track of your journey and push you in the right direction. But as you get further into the game, she will begin to say some cryptic, strange things to you. Eventually, she will start talking about him, that he may show up soon. Rosemon says that he manipulates people in order to destroy our digital world. I think we know someone like that, don't we? Once we get to the end of Wiseman Tower, Rosemon will reveal that she is Rosemon. Nice. And that if he arrives in this world, then she would have to stop him, no matter what the cost. In order to figure out the mystery behind him, we have to make our way to the top of Infinity Tower. We do face a Machine Dramon, but it's not the boss here. That honor belongs to Venom Myotismon, who we will have to defeat in a card game, of course. And after we win, this happens. Yes, he has arrived. While the game refers to him as A, we can see the actual name while he is hacking into the system. He states that this system will soon belong to him and that he has an infinite amount of time to do it. Analogman's consciousness has infiltrated the world of card battle. We will no longer be allowed to even save the game. So if you're playing this on a legitimate PlayStation 1, like every person in the entire world should, then you'll have to make sure that you are prepared, as you aren't even allowed to leave this area until you beat him. He will, out of the goodness of his non-existent heart, allow you to make changes to your deck if you want to make some. This is the hardest fight of the game. Not only does he have absolutely busted cards, Analogman also uses his hacking skills to move all your partner Digimon cards to the bottom of your deck. During a typical playthrough, you end up relying on your partner cards quite a bit, as they can be very strong. What's more, Analogman will not shuffle his deck before the battle begins, and he will throw some truly nasty things at you. Well, there are ways to cheese this fight, as the enemy AI in this game is horribly bad at making good decisions. In any case, you'll need to believe in the heart of the cards in order to win. Afterwards, we find out that this entire thing was a trap set up by Rosemon, who is part of the security system of this world. The only way to activate the trap was to trick Analogman into playing a card game and then beating him. Now, Analogman will be cut off from Digiland and spend the rest of time repeating endless math equations in the space of the net. And with that, Analogman is gone. The digital world has been saved. Perhaps the curse has finally been eliminated. There's no way he can come back again, right? Right? Well, let's take a look around just to be sure. There were a lot of Digimon games that came out after this one, but they had nothing to do with the story of File Island. And he never comes up either. Digimon World Redigitize was sort of a spiritual remake of Digimon World 1, with a similar premise but a vastly different overall narrative. Digimon is still there, and so is File City, but he isn't the antagonist this time. But there is one more game that we need to look into: Digimon World Next Order. This too is kind of a remake of World 1, sort of. Perhaps we will find something here. As soon as the game begins, we see the main character get pulled into their Digivice. When they awaken, they find themselves in a strange digital space. Soon, they meet up with War Greymon and Metal Garurumon, who are both, apparently, partners of the main character here. That's the main gimmick of this game. The gameplay is like World 1, except you have two partners at the same time. After some small talk, they are confronted by a Machine Dramon. Maybe you're thinking, well, that's just a coincidence. It probably doesn't have anything to do with him. Well, maybe you're right. But remember the Machine Dramon we fought in World 1? Listen to the OST that plays during that battle. Now, check out the soundtrack that plays during this fight. Yep, it's a remix of the original. But hey, that can be a coincidence too, right? Well, there's more. After the battle, the fallen Machine Dramon disappears, and we find a Tokomon in its place. I think we've seen this before, haven't we? We then warp to a new place, where we find who else but Digimon. It appears that the location we were in earlier was a trap, which was meant for that Machine Dramon. Digimon explains that Floatia City, which is pretty much the File City of this world, is in trouble because rogue Machine Dramon have begun to attack it for no reason. They show up, create havoc, and then disappear. That is, essentially, the mystery that we are trying to solve in this game. Where are these Machine Dramon coming from? And who is responsible for all this? I think we already have a pretty good clue about who that might be. As the game goes on, we run into someone who appears to be quite familiar. He happens to know quite a bit about what's going on around here. He says, yes, it's a long story, but once, a long time ago, there was a man who wanted to rule the digital world. His plans were thwarted, but before he disappeared, he left behind a terrible curse. You have seen the effects of the curse. It forces Digimon to turn into Machine Dramon. So, can you guess who this character is? It's the freaking protagonist from the first game. Mameo isn't his real name, but that's what everyone calls him, because of the Mamemon image on his hat. Side note, Mamemon is actually supposed to be the player's canon partner in World 1. That's why we see a Mamemon jump out of his Digivice in the ending cutscene back then. Anyway, as a reward for saving the digital world in the past, he was given access to the Digital Dive, a way to enter this world from the real world at will. I wonder if that's how the original humans got here in the first place, the ones from the war that happened 100 years ago in World 1. Mameo joins the group in their investigation of the curse. After making enough progress with the story, the group runs into Omegamon Zwart D, who makes quick work of the Machine Dramon that the group was being surrounded by. But something is very wrong with this Omegamon, as it tries to take out the group as well. Just when it feels like all hope is lost, a portal opens up, allowing the group to escape. In this strange place, they meet Mireille, who tells them that the entity who was about to destroy them is known as the Enforcer. It's under the influence of the Brain Hack program. She goes on to say,
yes, the BH program is a virus that illegally hacks into a Digimon's brain, so to speak, and alters its behavior. Those infected by the BH program exhibit a few typical symptoms: memory damage, disturbed consciousness, collapse of the ego, sudden violent tendencies.
Now hold on. Those are kinda the same symptoms that were shown by the Digimon who left File City in World 1, don't you think? They were losing their memories, their ability to communicate, and they were becoming wild and aggressive. Or, in other words, they were losing their hearts. The brain hack program, is that what Analogman used back then to wreak havoc on File Island? Maybe a more incomplete version of the program? Perhaps he kept working on it after being defeated in Mount Infinity, and we see a more advanced version at play in the back dimension, where the program turns the victims into Machine Dramon. And in Next Order, we are seeing an even more improved version of the same program, except that it can now infect at a greater scale instead of only one Digimon at a time. Makes a whole lot of sense to me, I have to say. A lot of stuff happens after this. The good guys try to create an antivirus that can stop the brain hack program, but at the end of the day, they need to go and confront the source of the problem to stop the madness once and for all. Near the end of the main story, we go to a place that looks eerily similar to Mount Infinity. We even have to face the same Digimon we fought in Mount Infinity back then, including Devimon and Metal Greymon. And then we finally confront the individual who is responsible for everything, Shoma. Yes, I know, this guy looks nothing like Analogman. But wait, we'll get to that. He forces the, enforcer to digivolve further into Omegamon Alter B. He says that he found a way to force Digimon to digivolve into forms other than Machine Dramon by breaking their minds in different ways. His ultimate goal is to force all Digimon, and even the digital world itself, to turn into their altered ultimate forms. To stop him, we have to defeat Alter B. It's not the most difficult battle in the world, especially if you have two competent Mega-level Digimon by your side. Afterwards, as Shoma is losing his mind, Mamio shows up. As soon as Shoma sees him, he says,
"You, that brat from before. The stupid little brat who crushed my ambitions."
Suzuki?
Ah! Not again! Not again!
From that line, I think it's pretty clear that we are talking to Analogman right now. He recognized the player character from World 1, and he can't believe that he's involved in stopping him again. After going through a psychotic break, Shoma passes out as the curse or spirit of Analogman leaves him. Back in the city, Shoma wakes up and recognizes Mamio as his teacher. Yes, Mamio is a teacher now in the real world. We also learn about how Shoma found himself in the place where, apparently, the consciousness of Analogman was confined. As Shoma came into contact with the remnants of Analogman's consciousness, his spirit sort of took over Shoma, leading to the events of this game. So, as far as I can tell, this is what happened. After we defeated Analogman in World 1, his physical body was shattered, but his consciousness was not. The fragments of his consciousness continued to plague File Island in the form of his curse, turning innocent Digimon into Machine Dramon, using an older version of the brain hack program. In card battle, Analogman tries to hack into the system from wherever he was, but thanks to Rosemon and the security system, he was imprisoned in a section of digital space, a place he could not escape from on his own. And that's where he remained, until Shoma came into contact with him. Shoma wanted to gain more power, and that lust for power is what attracted him to the spirit of Analogman that was trapped there. Then he took over Shoma's mind and tried to take over the digital world once more, until we stopped him once again. At the end of Next Order, the digital world goes through sort of a reboot or reincarnation, if you will, and everything goes back to normal. After his defeat here, it seems that Analogman is gone. At least for now. He's come back before, so it's not an impossibility that we may have to face off against him once again someday. Until then, I suppose we just have to take care of our Digimon partners as best we can, and keep an eye out for any Digimon who start acting strange, forgetful, or violent. But as far as I'm concerned, there is no way to get rid of Analogman permanently. His curse, his consciousness will always be there, lurking around the corner. The only thing that we can be certain of is that he always comes back.